saw a guy called Ted Williams, who was a baseball player. He played for the Boston Red Sox for 21 years and was a fabulous sportsman, apparently. He also had a fishing show on TV and was inducted into the Fishing Hall of Fame. I didn't even know there was such a thing. Far right politically, actually. Very, very far right, quite surprisingly. But such a phenomenal baseball player that he earned every accolade that was possible to give him, including a Presidential Medal of Freedom. But he died at the age of 83 in 2002. He'd had all kinds of heart problems. He'd had some kind of bypass that didn't work. He'd had strokes. He had congestion of the heart and so on. He died, and he had requested that he be cremated. But his family didn't want to do that. They said, well, look, Ted was very, very interested in cryonics. Therefore, we are going to cryonically freeze him. They went to a company called Alcor. The Alcor Life Extension Foundation is quite famous for this, apparently. They have 182 corpses currently frozen in liquid nitrogen in their facility in Arizona, along with 116 heads and 33 pets. And the idea is that at some point they will be resurrected once science has found a way to cure them of whatever they died of. Though why they don't just do what they did in Jurassic Park and get their DNA and clone them, I don't know. Surely it'd be better to have a whole new body. But anyway, that's what happened to Ted Williams. His body is cryonically frozen in Arizona, and I thought it would be really interesting to see what happens when somebody's body is frozen. What happens in their transition? And when I went into his energy and found him, he was just floating there. That's a little on the nose, so be wary of that. But he was just floating. That's all that happened. But as I watched, part of him peeled away, and a second version of him fell, but drifting almost into that symbolic cave I always see that doesn't really exist. It's just how I am able to feel the way they're feeling. And his immediate reaction was, oh wow, I feel better. But secondly, real curiosity. Well, what do we have here then? What is this? This is really interesting. And he went over and touched things, exploring the environment. It was like, oh wow, this is it then. This is what it's all about. How interesting. And he went across the cave, up the tunnel I always see, and came to the light. Very much with the same attitude of, this must be that part of it. The part where I just lie around. You know, like they do in these movies like Alien and stuff, where people lie in pods as they travel across the universe and then they wake up at the end if the computer doesn't kill them in the first place. But they wake up and it's now 5 years later. He believed that that was that. And he just stepped into the light, the dome, ready to participate. And he stepped into it and drifted away. He genuinely was dead. There is a dynamic to all of this, a momentum. And once you're in it, you are pulled along. There is no saying to mortals, oh, you know, I'm going to come back later. You might be needed elsewhere. You have to ascend. So even if they manage to resurrect the body later, maybe, or clone it, I don't see how the spirit, the soul, will still be in it. It'll be a different person or just a hollow shell or something. The animating force that drives us as individuals, as divine beings, will have left, will have gone. It went into the dome and he was gone. So that's all I got. It felt like he was incredibly willing to participate in this. Now it was actually upon him. And he didn't see it as death. He saw it as just one stage towards either another life or indeed resurrection.